Hello, glorious soul. Welcome to your Soul Service Astrology update for the 18th of April 2022. Hello, I'm Kelx. I'm a 13 sign sidereal astrologer and the creator of Soul Service Astrology. 13 sign sidereal astrology is observational astrology. It's ecological astrology. It is astronomy backed astrology. So essentially, when you look at the stars, the planets in the night sky, backed up by the stars, of course, which is what I was attempting to say there, it will match. And I believe that that's where astrology needs to come back to, because that's how astrology started. People observing the sky and then relating that to their experience here on Earth, and that is 13 sign sidereal astrology. Soul Service Astrology is my baby. It's what I created, and it is a practice. It is essentially applied astrology so that you can come back into this beautiful, deep, woven, wedded connection with your emotional, with your ecological, with your analytical, with your environmental and your body's intelligence, so that we can dispel those crappy beliefs, those limiting beliefs of I'm not enough, I don't know what to do. And if you're a creator or a business owner, you can start to step into this beautiful mystical intelligence of yours and know exactly what to do. And know your beautiful alchemy and how to bring it to the world. And that's what I offer you with Soul Service Astrology. More info on that at the end of this video. All right, what's going on in the skies for the 18th, for the week of the 18th of April? I'll share my screen as I do every week. I haven't brought up my little animate so that I can shift through the days for you. All right, so 18th of April, we're just after the full moon, the Monday after the full moon. And the full moon was in Virgo, so holding ourselves with reverence and with some care and tenderness, because it's after the full moon. We step into our Monday with a little zappy injection of Uranus and Mercurial energy in Aries. All right, so we've had this really big long period of quite a lot of energy in Pisces. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's actually really good. I want us to sort of be marinated in Pisces energy because it allows us to tap in more to our mystical intelligence, to feel into the fringes of what it is that we know, and perhaps surrender more. And when I say surrender more, I want you to practice this yourself. As with everything I ask you to do or I share with you in this video, I ask you to do. You don't have to do it. They're all invitations, right? So these are all opportunities for you to go and inquire. Is when I say surrender to you, and this is something that sort of hit me the last couple of weeks, surrender to what? What do you want to surrender to? Because sometimes we need a little bit of focus and guidance. And I kind of feel like this little zappy energy packed duo over here in Aries is sort of asking for us to do. What do we want to surrender to? And what do we really want to change? And can we bring a real sort of big dose of inspiration and drive to that, what we want to surrender to and what we want to change? So there's an interesting sort of dichotomy there, isn't there? I'm asking you to, what is it that you want to change now? We're faced across the planet, this existential crisis that our planet is changing so that it may not support our abundant survival. The planet will survive, make no doubt about that. The planet has always survived. It continues to adapt and change. However, we may not. So with those changes in mind, they're really big and important changes, right? How do I also surrender to joy and bliss and pleasure and gratitude? So there's kind of a dichotomy there, isn't it? I want to be the change, but I also want to surrender to these beautiful, abundant things that being human consciousness at this time allows us to be. Interestingly enough, that's what has come out of my mouth with all this Pisces energy around, because of course we still have Neptune and Jupiter still very close together. So there is this touching the fringes of the unknown. And Uranus is still certainly touching the fringes of the unknown. It wants you to sort of bring in some real radical ideas, rebellious thinking to the way that you can start to implement and make these changes happen. Because of course we can have big ideas, and that's what spending some time in Pisces and Aquarius is. You have these big ideas, you get big ideas, but now we want to bring those ideas to life. And that drive of Aries energy can help us do that. So that's what the week starts off with. Now, this aspect will hang around. I think Mercury is moving pretty quickly, so it won't hang around for too long, a couple of days. However, while this aspect between Uranus and Mercury is happening, Pluto is also square the sun. Now, whenever I see a planet square to Pluto, I always think fear is going to come up, right? And when I say fear, it's the kind of, how do I want to explain this? It's not beneficial fear. It's the fear that, you know, I'm not good enough, or it's the fear that if I do this thing that I haven't done before, something bad's going to happen. So it's kind of, I'm not finding the right word today, clearly. Anyway, it's fear, it's limiting beliefs. And the whole point of Pluto in Sagittarius is to liberate us from our illusions, right? Illusions of our material world somehow staying the same. Now, of course, the sun in Pisces is also saying to us, well, maybe what it is that we're creating here is an illusion. And maybe there's some things within my ego, within my subconscious, that I am continually perpetuating and allowing to program this illusion that I've seen. So we're trying to dissolve illusion with this aspect. So with that punchy aspect of Uranus and Mercury today, notice what... Now, I've heard these called a couple of different things. So I've heard them called fear, limiting beliefs. So this is self-talk or backdoor statements. So what is your mind telling you when you're creating something, doing something? Perhaps you're focusing on the change that you wish to be and see. Perhaps you are using your analytical intelligence and having to do some work and create, but there's these backdoor statements come in. So be conscious of them this week and notice them and work with them. And can you have, ask yourself a different question, a better question, and you can also ask that backdoor statement, that limiting belief, that fear, is that really true? And you can journal on that. So that's a way to work with those types of limiting beliefs. So that's Monday the 18th. There's not a whole lot of big aspects happening this week. So that's really nice. We kind of get a bit of a reprieve after the full moon to integrate anything that we've released or let go of after the full moon. And now we move into that waning period of the moon, and we can start to reap the benefits of what we have sowed for the last 2 weeks when the moon was waxing. So it's not until Friday that I want to talk to you about. So you'll notice that Neptune and Jupiter are still hanging out quite close together. Uranus and Mercury are still within 3 degrees up until, that's Wednesday, Thursday, the 21st. And then we shift into Friday, the 22nd of April, and that's when the sun moves into Aries. So we're starting to have a bit of dissipating Pisces energy. We're still going to have a big punch of Pisces energy for the rest of the year because Neptune is still there. Chiron's been there for ages, and Jupiter's going to hang out there for the next several months as well. So the Pisces energy is not going anywhere. But the sun steps into Aries. This is an opportunity for you to tap into your creative energy, the creator within you, and explore how you want to drive it. Explore how you want to bring some willfulness to your creation, how you want to step into and really start to focus down and bring any ideas, as I mentioned, any creative ideas or changes to life. So we're starting to focus down. Now, if we've followed the archetypal energy of the sun all the way from Capricorn back a couple of months ago, where you consolidated down, you've been fed by new ideas here. Now it's the time to focus and to get some stuff done. And we can use our analytical intelligence here, we can use our creativity, we can use inspiration to drive us, and we're kind of igniting a bit of our sacred flame. This is really quite quick. It's only 2 weeks of this Aries energy to sort of stoke our sacred flame and get those confidence and self-esteem fires burning, and to actually get some stuff going. Not complete, I'm not saying complete, but going. You can get some things going. And small steps count, everyone. Small steps are cumulative, remember that. So tap into your creative juices, tap into your sacred flame, and see what you want to focus on and feel into what you want to focus on. I certainly know I've been feeling much more focused and concentrated since the equinox on the 21st of March. Now that might have been spring for you or autumn for others. I really find that energy, if you're in the descent like me, it's kind of a bit of rot energy, but you might also be in the grow phase if you're in the northern hemisphere. But I've been feeling like my rot is quite active. Like I'm being quite active and creating as well. So that's Friday. Saturday, again, I would just say work with the moon energy and just notice your feelings, because the moon is very close to Pluto. So you might link back to what you felt on Monday and some of those limiting beliefs, perhaps those mind stories that you're telling yourself, or the backdoor statements, and just check in with how you're feeling when it comes into the weekend. Weekend's a great time to have a rest, allow those feelings to marinate, but also don't wallow. And if there's something that you can do to shift, then do, because Pluto wants you to liberate anything that's holding you back. Now that's disseminating moon energy. So that is that shadow hunter energy towards, let me just get this right. Yes, towards the balsamic moon. Okay, so that's Saturday the 23rd. And then we move to Sunday the 24th. And that's when Mercury steps into Taurus. Now, this is quite pivotal for a couple of reasons. First of all, Mercury's going to spend a big chunk of time in Taurus because we are going to have a Mercury retrograde period in Taurus. Now, we had a Mercury retrograde period in Taurus around the same time last year. So first inquiry for you is to think about this time last year and what you were reviewing and redoing in relation to your analytical intelligence. Was there a different way that you felt that you needed to think? Did some things crumble with how you thought? Perhaps a message or how you were communicating crumbled or needed to be renewed or rejuvenated. And also with Mercury, we can be both teacher and student. So perhaps there was things that you learnt around this particular time last year prior to stepping into Taurus. Now, the theme of Taurus, how Mercury may desire to express in Taurus, is going to be considered, and it's going to be grounded. It's going to be steady, okay? So maybe it's around steadying the mind. Maybe it's around thinking being value-backed. And maybe it's about our thinking becoming grounded and not being fed by too much information. You know how there's too much information. So there's something that you can inquire on just with the thought that Mercury is moving into Taurus. What happened this time last year? Because we had a Mercury retrograde last year and it's going to go retrograde again. So what have you learnt from this time last year? That's one. Two, as you can see, Mercury is very close to the North Node. Now, the North Node is where the movement of the moon intersects with the movement of the sun. So it's not a celestial body, it's a point, it's an imaginary point, and it wouldn't actually exist if humans didn't exist, right? If we didn't exist, we couldn't observe that point, right? Unless, of course, some other sentient being observes that as well. And we can't tell that, unfortunately. So this is a divinely human creation, and it's very much linked to our mission this lifetime. And I know Vedic astrology places a significant amount of emphasis on the North and South Node. And if you would like to inquire more about the North or South Node, I would recommend that you go and inquire down that pathway as well. Because certainly soul service astrology, the astrology that I use and I teach, I don't place a huge emphasis on the North and South Node. However, when we do have a planet and they go conjunct with the North Node, there is a kind of tweaking of the energy, calling you into that makes you uncomfortable. Because the North Node, of course, is our calling, our mission this lifetime. And in yoga philosophy, they would refer to it as our Dharma. Where are we going that we haven't been before? And usually it's where we're going, perhaps the creation of new neural pathways, the creation of new habits makes us kind of feel uncomfortable. And you'll notice that the North Node is at the last point of Taurus before it's going to go back into Aries. So our mission has been through this rigorous, consistent, grounded, steady process of getting really value backed, getting steady and consistent. Have you taken some real hard look and made sure that the things that you're doing in your life, are they really in alignment with your values? Are you really operating in integrity, or are you still lying to yourself? So I think there are a couple of inquiries that you can look into when Mercury steps back into Taurus at the end of the week. And I think that that's a really good place for us to do that. And then on top of that, this is square Saturn. So think back to the beginning of the year where I continually was asking, are you consolidating? Are you putting too many things on your table that aren't what you really want to focus down on? So this is now another chance for you to go, oops, I may have gone down a pathway that isn't part of my values, or I may have gone down a pathway that isn't part of the mission that I know that I'm here this lifetime. Or maybe I've got looping mind stories that are preventing me from stepping into this Magus energy, this magician energy, where I'm being called all the time by Kelly, but also Saturn, to consolidate. You have a mastery, you have a zone of genius, and you are being called to consolidate. We don't need to follow every idea. That's why at the beginning of this, I suggested that you may have received some wonderful ideas. Write them down. We don't have to follow them immediately. I want you to focus in on your mastery. And if there's any doubts, because this is what this aspect could raise up, just check in with your emotional intelligence. You know, are there any doubts? Is there a better thought that I can have? Perhaps there's some action that I can take. Perhaps I can just get out into nature and listen to nature and realize that I am enough and that there's nothing else that I have to do but focus down in on my mastery. I think that's a perfect place to stop this week's update. I do hope you have a glorious week. I'm super excited because I have just released my new program. It is a 13-week program. It will be run across a season. It's called Illuminate to Initiate, and I've released it to my followers. So it isn't publicly released yet. If you would like to find out more about it, please feel free to join my Facebook group called Sidereal Stars with Kel Gunter, and to find out some more about it. Or you can sign up to my mailing list. That link is on my website at kellygunter.com. The course is really geared for you if you're a business owner or a creator and you're really, really sick to death of those backdoor statements and you're sick to death of the constant cycle of, I'm not enough, I don't know what I'm focusing on, my message isn't clear, and you really want to embrace all of you, all of your intelligences, and come back and hone in on your mastery and bring it to life. And we use applied astrology to establish a practice so that you can do that in an ongoing way. So if you're interested in that, reach out or come and join my Facebook group, Sidereal Stars with Kel Gunter. And I'll see you next week. Bye.